As you mentioned, you and Renovus, much more professional services oriented in terms of where you spend most of your time and attention. Do you see any particular industries being more active than others? And particularly, maybe some additional thoughts on your section of the world, the professional services space.
Not surprisingly, I think the non-cyclical, counter-cyclical, recession-resistant, recession-resilient, whatever you want to call it, those sectors are going to be the most active just because that's where people are going to want to go. That's kind of going to be the hot topic and where people feel like, hey, this is where I can put capital in an uncertain macro environment. Like strategics first, if they're doing well, if they're in that sector and they're doing well and they've got a strong liquidity position, they're going to want to do M&A to enhance inorganic growth. If they're not doing well, but they did really well, like a lot of tech firms did and call it the last 5 years, and they've got a good balance sheet and organic growth is the outlook is softer, they can use M&A as a tool to increase growth and create shareholder value. I think that's on the strategic side. On the private equity side, I mean, private equity firms are built to be nimble and go find value in these opportunities. They can just choose where they want to focus. And I think a lot of firms are flocking to these kind of recession resilient, non-cyclical areas, firms and companies that we're invested in already, fortunately, but still have interest in many of these assets, regardless of the macro environment. Now, what's interesting about that is there's the technical aspect of that, right? There's a finite number of these firms and there's a lot of supply of capital. And so you're going to see more firms coming and be attracted to these sectors. It'll probably drive up valuations in these sectors. As a buyer of businesses, that's a negative for competitive processes. But as a seller of professional services, businesses, and other kind of recession resilient businesses, that's a positive. But yeah, I think like these areas are like pharma services, consumer staples, and then self-serving, but professional services. We invest in consulting firms that, outsource accounting and finance functions like Solomon Edwards. We invest in outsourced legal services providers. There's a lot of data on how law firms and corporate law departments perform in recessions, and the data is instructive. And so I think we're going to see more interest in these markets, more interest than we've already seen because they're already hot areas.